Session 3. Rhythm 3. Time signature, bar lines, grouping. Simple and compound meter. Time signature. What do the numbers in time signature mean?
So whenever you have two numbers at the beginning of a piece, or anywhere in the song, where one is on top and one is below, much like a fraction, that is a time signature. Last week we established that the number on top tells you how many counts are in each bar. So if you have a number 2 on top, you will count 1, 2. And it means every bar thereafter will have 2 counts. If the number is 3, it's a triple meter, and the song will have a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3 counts. And if there's 4, there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the common numbers you will see on top. To be honest, any number could go on top. Sometimes you will have 5, 4, like the song Take 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The way the song is grouped in 3s and 2s. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So you could have a 5 timing. We refer to that as an odd timing. You could have 7. I've heard 7. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or sometimes they reverse it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Or sometimes people group it as 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Where all these numbers actually add up to 7. But it's easier to count it in like 1, 2, plus 1, 2, that's 4, plus 1, 2, 3. But depending on how the music feel, you will group your notes, and we get to group in a little later on. So the top number could be anything, any number that you choose. The bottom number, so the top number tells you amount of counts in each bar of a song. We call that the meter. And the bottom number tells you the type of note that gets the count. Now for now, that might be like a scratchy head. I wonder what she's really saying. But I'm going to explain it now. The bottom tells you the type of note that gets the count, which we refer to the beat note. So the bottom number cannot be any number. The bottom number is very specific. Where do you get these bottom numbers from? What are these bottom numbers? It goes way back to the naming of the notes when you use the American names, which is why I prefer to use it, because it connects to time signature. All right, so the American name for this note is called a whole note, and if you go back in your fractions, when you learn fraction, you know that a whole note could also be written as 1 over 1. I'm writing it as a fraction so you could see its relation to time signature, yes? This is a half note. You notice the half note has a 2, 1 over 2. Quarter note, 1 over 4, it has a 4. 1 over 8 is the 8th note. The 8 refers to this, and 1 over 16 is 16 note. And there's a note that comes even smaller than the quaver, the 8th note, the 16th note. The next note is the 32nd note, and that will have 3 hooks. The 8th note has 1, the 16th note has 2 hooks, and if you were to put 3 hooks on it, it is called the 32nd note. The bottom number of your time signature could only be 2 in reference to half notes. It could only be 4 in reference to quarter notes, 8 referring to the 8th note, 16 referring to the 16th note, and if we had the 32 note, it will refer to the 32nd note. These numbers, bottom numbers, could only be one of these. 2, 4, 8, 16. And we attach these figures to the note. 2, it means half. 4 means quarter. 8 means 8 notes. And 16 means 16 notes. You could also, if you happen to see 1, and it's really, really, really rare, it would mean whole note. So your bottom number could only be one of these numbers here, and these numbers here actually refers to the note of its name, the note of its American name.
Time signature explained.
So I'm using my MUSC score to demonstrate time signature for you. So the time signature we are using is 2/4. We already know that if the top number is 2, it means every measure is going to have a count of 1, 2, 1, 2. But now we are going to implement the bottom number. And in the slide before, I said when the bottom number is 4, we are referring to quarter notes. So as a whole, what this time signature means is that every measure is not going to be more than 2 quarter notes. So it means that if I'm writing music in this bar, I'm going to have 1 quarter note, 2 quarter notes, and you notice the cursor move across automatically to the next bar. 1 quarter note, 2 quarter notes. So the maximum a bar could hold when the time signature is 2/4 is 2 quarter notes. It could hold any combination of notes, but the sum of it must add up only to 2 quarter notes. So in this case, I could put 2 8 notes. These 2 8 notes add up to a quarter note, 1 8 1 8. And then I still have a note I could put on the second count, a quarter note. My cursor has moved across. I've reached the maximum value. And for the sake of it, I'm going to finish off the song with a half note. 1 quarter note, 2 quarter note, 1 quarter note, 2 quarter note. These 2 8s are 1 quarter note, 2 quarter note. A half note is equal to 2 quarter notes, and that's the maximum this bar can hold. 1, 2, 1 quarter notes. So you're actually counting the quarter notes. All right, so it stands to reason if 2/4 means that we have 2 quarter notes per bar, then should I change? I'm going to change the time signature here. I'm going to put a new time signature here. Oh, it's my palettes. Palettes, let's go disappearing. Function F9. View palettes. All right, there we go. Sorry, that took a while. If I want to put a new time signature, I'm going to put a new time signature here. I'm going to choose 2/2. So this is my new time signature. Palette, don't disappear on me again. I'm putting you about here. 2/2. And on the slide before, we know that when we talk about 2, it means half notes. So this time signature means that the bar will not have any more than 2 half notes per bar. So you're counting half notes now. 1 half note, 2 half notes. Average the max. 1 half note, 2 half notes. Now just now I halved. When it was quarter notes, I made the value of the quarter notes half here. So I'm going to make the value of my half note half here. So I'll put quarter note, 1 quarter note, 2 quarter notes. So this adds up to my 1 half note. And then on the second beat, I can put 2 half notes. So this bar has 2 half notes in it. These 2 quarters make 1 half. And this half is a half. So 1 half note, 2 half note. And for the sake of it, I want to just put 1 note. That is the value of 2 half notes. Half plus a half is a whole note. So I will put a whole note there. So 2/4, 1, 2 half note. Sorry, 1 quarter note, 2 quarter note. 1 quarter note, 2 quarter note, 1/8 note, 1/8 note, adds up to a quarter note, 2 quarter notes in this bar, and this half adds up to 2 quarter notes. If I have 2 over 2, 1 half note, 2 half note, 1 half note, 2 half note, 2 quarter notes make a half. This is a half note, so this bar have 2 half notes, and this bar has a whole note, which is equal to 2 half notes. Now, I just want to draw something to your attention. Both these rhythms are exactly, if I were to play them, it would be exactly the same. Do, 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 do. Okay, I'm just looking at the first 2 bars. 1 quarter, 1 quarter, 1 quarter, 1 quarter. Do, 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 do. Now, if I was supposed to say this faster, do, 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 do. Because remember when we say minute, we say do. So I just speed it up so you can see that the rhythm is exactly the same. But instead, I just double the value. So it's like ratio, you know. How else to explain it? Let's pretend this is an American dollar. This is a Trinidad, 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 Trinidad. The American dollar have more value. So let's pretend it's 2 to 1. US dollar, US dollar, US dollar, US dollar. 2 to 1. Right? But a dollar is a dollar. So what I'm showing you here is that you could write the same music. Even though you change your bottom number, you could actually write the same music. It could sound the same when played. Let me give an example. Americans, when they write calypso, they actually use 2/4, 2 over 4, bam, 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 bam. And Trinidadians use 2 over 2, which we refer to as cut time. 1, 1, 1, 1. Instead, we just count our half notes as a beat. 1, this is a beat, this is a beat, this is a beat. Because they found that reading in cut time is simpler than when you have all these notes with hooks. So this is the first beat here, 1 quarter note, 2nd quarter note. First half note, 2nd half note. On top here, I took my first quarter note and I divided it in 2. But instead, in cut time, I took my first half note and divided it in 2. So the relation is the same, it's just the currency is different. $5 US plus $5 US is $10 US. 5 US plus 5 US is 10 US. 5 TT plus 5 TT is 10 TT. Just the 5 remain the same, the 10. I don't know if I'm making any sense to you. The rhythm remains the same. It's just that you write it in a bigger form, using bigger numbers. So when you have a time signature that is written less like this, like 2 over 4, my count, I'm counting the quarter notes. Here I'm counting the half notes. And you make it bigger, you call it augmentation. So the Trinidadians, we prefer to write our music with that half note because this is much easier for us to read because the music is quite fast. When you see this is 2 notes fitting in the beat with all these beams and stuff, it gets confusing. This actually looks simpler than this. Alright, so I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't want to digress. I'm just showing you could write the same thing, but changing the bottom note, but the rhythm will end up being the same. Do, 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 do. It sounds the same. Do, they, do, 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 do. Alright, so I think you'd get it. Anyway, let's go to a different time signature. 2 over 4 means your bar cannot have more than 2 quarter notes. In terms, when you add it up, it cannot surpass 2 quarter notes. And 2 over 2 means your measure cannot pass more than 2 half notes in the bar. So when it adds up, it have to add up to 2 half notes. Let's try another measure. Let's add another bar. So I'm going to do a new time signature. Oh my God, bars. Yes. Insert measure. I'm going to insert some measures after this selection. Oops. No, I want to put it here, 4. So I'll move my whole note and put it here, because I put the measures in between. This is a free, by the way, this is a free music app you can use. It's called MUSC, and it's a free writing app. I use it for writing, so you can download it on your computer and use this. Okay, let's try a new time signature. I'm going to use whole notes actually, so I can emphasize my point. So since the whole note is 1 over 1, the bottom number will be 1. Now that's a time signature I told you rarely will see. So I'll have to go to more and create that time signature. And they still want to insist on giving me these time signature. Create a time signature. So these are the different values. The number I'm working with is 2 on top. So you put it 2 on top, and then they will have a drop down box. And these are the different. Remember I told you your bottom number could only be like 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. So there you see it for yourself. The drop down box only have those choices. So I'm going to put my bottom number as 1. Okay, 2 over 1. Did I add it? I don't think it wants to take it. Yes. Two over 1. Okay. I'm going to insert 2 more bars. I don't know what happened. I thought I put 4. Oh, I know what happened. Yes, I put 4 measures. Alright, let me not explain it, but I know what happened. Okay, so 2 over 1 means that my bar is not supposed to surpass whole notes. My count is going to be 1 whole note, 2 whole notes. So here it was 1 whole note, 1 half note, 2 half notes, and above here was 1 quarter note, 2 quarter notes. So I'm going to write actually the same rhythm I had here, but using whole notes instead. 1 whole note, 2 whole notes. I've reached my max. 1 whole note, 2 whole notes. Let's half that whole note, because here we have the first count, and half of a whole note is a half. Oops. 1 half, 1 half. That adds up to a whole note. And then the last bar needs something to fill it out, and you will learn a new note that is extinct right now, and this is called the breve. The Americans call it the whole note, and it's actually worth twice the amount of the semi-breve. It's called the breve or the whole note. So if you check it, 1 whole note, 2 whole note, 1 whole note, 2 whole note, 1 bum, 1 whole note, 1 whole note, 2 whole note. Same rhythm, just a different currency. Maybe this will be the euro. TT dollars, US dollars, the British pound. But they are all the exact same rhythm, just the bottom number have changed. And that is what time signature about. The time signature together will express the maximum amount of notes you could have in a bar. The top number is going to tell you how you're counting it. 1, 2. The bottom number is the beat note. The beat note is half. I am checking half notes. So in a nutshell, time signature consists of 2 numbers. A number on top, a number below. The top number tells you how many counts you're going to have in the bar or the meter, The bottom number tells you what note you are given the beat note. This time signature, in a nutshell, if you are to explain what 2 over 2 means, it means that the bar is going to have 2 half notes in every bar. This time signature means you're going to have 2 quarter notes in every bar. So the bar line actually separates it into the 2 quarter notes. This time signature, when expressed, will mean you're going to have 2 whole notes in every bar.
Time signature using triple meter.
All right, so we're going to approach this using 3 on top. So 3 is our meter. However, the bottom number is different. The first one is 3 over 4, and this time signature is going to tell us that every measure is going to have a count of 3 for the max. The 4 below is telling us what is the beat note, 3 of what. And once you have a 4, you know it's going to be quarter notes. So every bar must have the sum total of 3 quarter notes per bar. So I'm going to just start off and put 3 quarter notes per bar so you know what we're talking about. 3 quarter notes per bar. All right, there we go. In this bar, I'm going to put the varying different notes. Let's put 2 8 notes, which will make a quarter note. Let's put a half note to make the rest of the bar. So this is a quarter note here. 2 8 notes is a quarter and a half. Quarter plus a half is 3 quarters. 3 quarters per bar. 3 quarter notes per bar. It's some easy maths. All right, next one. I'm gonna put a rest. Remember, I told you rest is also a note that depicts silence. That's a note of silence. Let's put some 16 notes. If you can remember what the 16 note look like. So 4 16 notes is equivalent to 1 quarter note. And this one here, we could put 2 8 notes. So we get more notes in the mix here. So this was 1 quarter note because that's a quarter rest. 4 16s, if you could work out your maths well, if you have a 16 plus a 16 plus a 16 as 4 16, then you cancel it down, you get a quarter. This is a quarter note. 1 8 1 8. Okay, it's another quarter note. So this is 3 quarter notes, and in the final bar, I'll put a note that is worth 3 quarter notes in terms of value. There we go. 1 2 3. 1 2 3. 1 2 3. So these 4 is do ta data do they do. 1 2 do they do. Do ta data do they do. 3 beats per bar. All right, and I'm going to write this exact same rhythm, but at half. Instead of quarter, I'm going to make it 8 notes. 3 8 notes per bar. Now, before I told you when you double the value of a rhythm, so if this was 3 4 and I made it 3 2, you call it augmentation. When you do the opposite, when you take a rhythm and you half it, it's called diminution. All right. So I'm supposed to have 3 8 notes, and the 8 note look like this. So my measure is going to have 3 of those in every bar. That's 3. All right. This is, I want to write the same exact rhythm, but half in it, same ratio, but it will add up to half of it. This is a 8 note. So I'm going to use a 16 note. 2 16 notes. This is a half note. So I'm writing everything a half. So I'm going to make it a quarter note. All right. So let's add it up. 1 8 note, 2 8 note, 3 note, 8 notes. That's correct. 2 16ths make 1 8. This is a quarter. There are 2 8 notes in a quarter. So this is 1 8, 2, 3 eighths. All right. So we need the rest. This is a crotchet rest. This is a quarter rest. So we're going to need an 8 rest here. In this, we have semiquavers. And remember, I told you these are 16 notes, but we will need to put 30-second notes here. So you're going to see it in play here. So because they have 3 hooks, then when you join them together consecutive, you'll have 3 beams. And then here we have 1 8 note and 1 8 note. So we have to, this is a quarter. These two add up to a quarter. So what 2 notes add up to an 8? 2 16ths add up to an 8. All right, they joined it. Remember when I told you if it's consecutive, you just join them. And since these are 16ths, only have 2 beams. 1, 2, you'll put 2 beams here. But these here will have 3 beams. So you notice the first 4 have the 3, 1, 2, 3, and the last 2 will have 2. All right, and finally, we need a dotted 8 note to give us the 3 eighths. So I'm going to just extend, since we are doing dots. Y'all may have assumed that the dot increases a note by 1 beat, because without the dot, this is 2 counts. And then when you put the dot, it's 3. But that's not the case. What the dot do is actually add half the value of the note to itself. So without the dot, this is with 2 counts, 1, 2. And if I put a dot, it will be half of the value. So 1, 2, half of 2 is 1. So if I put a dot, it's with 3. So in this case, this is a quarter note. Without the dot, it's 1 beat, but half of 1 beat, half of the quarter note is an 8. So if I put a dot, it is equal to 1, 2, 3, 8 notes. So the dot adds half the value of the note to itself. That's how it increases itself. So we got 2 information here. We got how you join beams that are less. So 2, these last 2 have 2 hooks, but it's joined to 3. So the 4 notes that have 3 hooks will have 3 beams, and the last 2 that have 2 hooks will only have 2 beams. So that's how you join them up. So you can mix beams up. All right, and let's go to 3 2. This time signature is telling me that the bar, each measure, should have only 3 half notes. So here's another thing you're going to learn today. If you look at this rest, this is a rest that is for a whole note. The rule is, if you have an entire bar without music, no matter what the key signature is, you will use the whole rest. You'll use the whole rest because the bar is empty. So we know it's 3 we're counting to. So why break it up and say, all right, let me put a half rest, put 3 half rests, stuff like that. The whole bar is empty anyway. So the rule is, let me show you here. If I delete this, the computer automatically put a whole rest. Although a whole rest is 4 quarter notes, and this is 3 8. You don't count it like that. If the whole bar empty, it means the whole rest means whole bar empty, rest for the whole bar. That's what it means in other words. All right, so take note, if you have an entire bar with no music in it, you use the whole rest. That's the one that hangs on the line like so. All right, so this time signature is telling me I have 3 counts in the bar. 3 of what? 3 half notes. So just to begin with, I will put half notes. 1, 2, 3. All right, 3 half notes. Let's copy this. It's easier to copy it from this one. 3 quarter notes. Half is double the quarter, so let's just double this value. I could have 4 times this value, but the math's getting a little too hard here. All right, 1 half note, 2 half note, 3 half notes. This is an 8th note. I want to double it. So I'm going to make it 1/4 note, 2, and then after we add a half note fill in here. A half note has 2/4 in it. What note has 2 halves in it? A whole note. Okay, so these two add up to 1/2 note, 2, 3. All right, here we have an 8 rest. See, there's an 8 rest. Here we have a quarter rest, So that is going to be a half rest. All right. And in that, here we have 16 notes, 4 16 notes. How much? Four notes that goes into a half. You'll get the hang of this. It's fractions. So 4 8 notes add up to a half. All right. And then 2/4 notes. Sorry, 2/4 notes. I'll give you the balance of the bar. So the math's getting a little more complicated. Now, I didn't need to do it like this, but I wanted to show that you could rewrite the rhythm with a different number at the bottom. This is the exact same rhythm. The currency is just different. All right. This is TT dollar here. This is the same thing. No, this is TT below here because it's the smallest value. This is US value up here, and we're using the euros up here, down here. Euros here. And then the last one is 8 note. We will add up to 3 beats. 3 half notes. A whole note is 4. Is 2 half notes. And to get half of that, we put a dot. All right. So whole note is 2 half note, and then you just add 1 extra half note, which is half of its value, to give you 3. All these rhythm will sound exactly the same. Now remember I told you in Calypso we like to use 2 at the bottom because, to tell you the truth, this looks much easier to read than this. So the purpose of using 2 at the bottom is in terms of reading it faster for a musician. When they read this, they'll see, okay, they will get this first bar easy. 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, and then here, and then we'll go, right? So that'll be really difficult. But here's 1, 2, 3, then 1 and 2, 3. Rest. So 1, 2, dun, 1, 2, 3. This is much more pleasing to the eye. It's a psychological thing, but it is easier to view, and it is one of the reasons why we write our calypso in cut time, to avoid this, all that beaming that's going on here and getting confused. Okay, the 3 beams stop here, and then the 2 beams, yeah. Okay, and that's it for time signature. There's various exercises you can get to test if you understand time signature. One of them is you could be given a song that has absolutely no time signature, and you have to put the most appropriate time signature in. So you wouldn't have this, and they would say, what's the time signature for this song? So you have to look at it and see, 3/4 will work for this. Now some people ask, well, how do you know if it's 3/4? How do you know to use 2/2 or 2/4? For a song that is like this, you could actually say this is 6/8, because it's 1 2 8 notes, 3 4 8 notes, 5 8 8 notes, 2 here, 3 4 5 6 8 notes. So you're saying this could be put as 6/8. That's where grouping comes. That's where the rule is. They have certain ways you'll group a 3/4 as opposed to how you group a 6/8. All right. Most times, if you have a lot of crotchets and half notes, you will tend to use the bigger number, which is 4. If you have a lot of 8 notes, you will tend to put your time signature in 8. Now in this one, this have a lot of half notes and whole notes, So instead of putting this is 1, 2 crotchets, 3, 4, 5, 6, you could say, well, this is 6/4. This is 6 quarter notes. You could put 6/4. But there's a rule for joining number bars that have six in it. All right. And this have more half notes in it, a lot of whole notes, so you'll tend towards using the half notes. So your discretion is advised. But if a beginner puts this as 6/4, I will give it correct because it is correct and you're going by the rule of checking to see the maximum. So this could actually be called 6/4, 6 quarter notes in the bar. A half note is 2 quarter, a half note is 2 quarter, a half note. So that's 3 2s, a 6. This is 1 quarter, 2 quarters, and 4 fifths in this. This is 6. So if you do put 6/4, in some cases, I will give it right, especially if the grouping is the same. Okay, so far you all have used Google Forms, you all have used Jamboards, and now this is a different way you could tender and work for me. So I'm using this to show you how. So when you go into my classroom in the Google Stream, under the assignment, and you select a PDF form that I would post for you, usually there's an option at the very, very top that'll ask you what to open it with. Okay, so I'm going to start from scratch. Right, like just like this. Open with. And one of they'll have a set of stuff you could open it with. What you're going to open it with is Kami, Kami. Now, if you're a first time user to Kami, they will have certain things you have to fill in before the Kami start to let you use it, like fill in an email address. Use the same email address that you use in the class so you wouldn't start to get confused. All right, so annotate with Kami, and when you annotate with Kami, it will open up in a new browser, which I already have opened up here. A lot of this stuff are locked, and they will only unlock if you pay for it, but it has enough things that on it for you to be able to do your work for me in class. So I'm using this to demonstrate. I think I should make this a little bigger to demonstrate the various ways time signature questions has come. Okay, so let's look at this one. And there's music in it. There are bars, but there's no time signature. So this is one way this test to know if you know time signature. And what you have to do is check to see how many beats there are in the bar and establish your time signature. Now, before I was telling you how you doesn't have to check in quarter notes and in 8 notes or in half notes, if you look at the music, you could see there's no possible way it could be half notes. This one can't be in half notes because they don't even have enough. This is an 8 note and this is an 8 note. So that's a quarter plus an 8 note. So that's a quarter and an 8. That not even adding up to a half note. So your bottom number wouldn't be half note. And then when you really look at it, okay, maybe my bottom number should be 4. If you're checking it 4, that means you're checking to see how many quarter notes there in the bar. This is an 8 note and this is an 8 note. These two 8 notes gives you a quarter, and this is just another quarter. So it's a quarter and a half. It doesn't have enough to give you. You ended up with a half of a quarter here. So it's unbalanced. So you're getting like a fraction left. 1 quarter and a half. So it's 1.5. So the best thing to do is to check 8 notes. After all, the music is full of 8 notes and smaller. So what I do is I will look for a bar that looks the easiest for me to check. I have 1 8 note here, 2 8 notes, 3 8 notes. If you want to make sure you can look for another bar, this is 1 8 note. These have 2 beams, so that means it's 16 note. 2 16s make a 8. So this is 1 8 note. These 2 makes an 8, 3. And the first measure have 1 8 note, 2 8 note, 3. So by and large, even if you want to check, let's check all the bars. These 2 16s is 1 8 note. This pair 16th will be an 8, 2. This is 1 and this is a rest. This is a 16th rest and this is a 16 note. So these 2 add up to 3. So if you like to type, you could type. You can make it smaller. That looking like it could be real big. So you can make it smaller, 12, and you can put 3. And then you put an next text box. This is how I would do it. 8. All right, I will move it till it look time signature-ish. Usually you'd put 3 on top because 3, and then you put 8 below. And that's the answer there. 3, 8. Or you could choose to use the pen. I'm not so good at drawing with this mousy thing. And draw 3. That doesn't look half bad. Oh gosh, the 8. All right, 3, 8. Make sure the teacher can see the answer so I can give you it right. So this is one form of time signature. The teacher can check to see if you understand your time signature, if you understand your value of notes by actually putting in the time signature. What's another way? Let's see. All these are the same thing. Look, this one is saying to add the missing bar lines in this extract. Okay, the first one was done for you. So we look at A. So they gave you a time signature, 1, 2, but there are no bar lines in the song. They have one at the end. So, sometimes I check my way backwards. The time signature is 3/2, meaning every bar must have maximum 3/2, 3 half notes in each bar. For this, I'll use my drawing pencil. Drawing a line shouldn't be so difficult. So it's a whole note. A whole note is 2 halves, and this is a half. So a bar line comes here. This is a quarter note. And remember I told you a quarter note, if you put a dot behind it, that dot is half the value. So this dot is actually an 8. This note that follows an 8. So these 2 8s, the dot plus the note, will actually be a quarter. Okay, so this quarter note plus the dot, which is an 8, plus this is an 8, this will make a half note. 1 half note. Maybe I should put a circle around it. Change the color so you could see, just in case we have a little red blue blindness in the class. I'll use orange. So that is 1 half note. These 2 quarters is 2 half notes. And this one is the 3rd half note. All right. So you could undo all that now that you get your maths, and you could put in your bar line here. 1 half note, and a whole is 2 halves notes. So this bar was quite simple. Oops. That was the crookedest bar line. Try again. Much better. All right, so on the stave, we haven't done staffers yet, but when you're drawing your measure line, you start at the top line of the stave and you try the end at the bottom, just like how they have in the example here. Okay, next one, 1 half note. This is a quarter rest and this is a quarter note. So that's 2 half notes here and a quarter, 3. So my bar line will come here. Bang. All right, we already worked out this rhythm to be 2 right here. It's the same rhythm. A dotted quarter followed by a quiver is half note. So this is 1, 2, 3. So we don't have any more to put in. And that's another way you can check your bar lines. They come in all varieties of question. All right, this is one we were doing in class, and they want you to augment this rhythm. So instead of having 4, 4, they want you to make it 4, 2. So they want you to double the rhythm, but double the note value, but the rhythm will always be the same. So this is a dotted quarter. If you double it, you'll have a dotted half. So they want you to augment the rhythm. A quaver if you double it. So we changing the currency. And what I get myself into demonstrating this. Anyway, this is what you're using for your kami. Try your best. And double that. Minim. So I demonstrated this at length in class. All right. So this is 4 quarter notes per bar. This is 4 half notes per bar. 1 half note, this dot is a quarter. And this is a quarter. So that's 2 half notes, 3, 4. Okay, so all you have to do is double the value. This is a 8 note. If you double an 8 note, it becomes a quarter note. Shade it, put the dot after it. This is a 16 note. If you double a 16 note, it becomes an 8 note. Now, since it's all by itself and it's not joining up to the quarter note, because quarter notes do not have hooks, you just have to put a hook by itself. This is a half note. If you double a half note, it becomes a whole note. This is a quarter note. You double the quarter note, it becomes a half note. So it's just a simple multiplication, you know, it's just ratio. All right, and this is a half note. So double it, whole note. This is a half note, double it, whole note. So this was a simple augmentation question. The next one is a why has never said that properly? Diminution, where you halve the value. So instead of 3/4, they want it to be 3/8. So these are various forms of testing to see if you understand your time signatures, note values. Here they are asking you, what does the 2 mean in 3/2? The 2 means you're checking half notes. Simple. If you have a question like this, I advise you use a text box and type in your answer. This might be too big. You can make it small. Kami is very friendly. And when you're finished, you just submit your work. You submit your work in the Google class.
You will now be given 30 minutes to complete a class assignment. This assignment will contribute to your coursework 1 grade.